When I think of the city of Southgate, I could easily visualize my small two-bedroom house where we have been renting for the past 18 years. I have lived in this place for my whole life, and with all the time spent in this place, I began learning about this town and what surrounds it. I imagined a small two-bedroom house with its big driveway, small front and backyard, paint chips falling off the side of the roof. In this house on Southgate Avenue lived no less than 6 people at a time. Whether it was my aunt with her loud and messy children, or my sister bringing along her husband for them to save up money to eventually build up their ultrasound business. From the whole time of me living here, it has always been a loud environment, especially coming from a Hispanic household, where yelling is a norm at any time of day. The outside of my house has always been full of plants and freshly cut grass due to my oldest sister having her hobby of gardening. Other than succulents and dogs barking at strangers at all times of day, my yard has always remained the same. Coming into the neighborhood, you see that all the houses and apartments that are uncomfortably close to each other. But you get used to having almost no privacy being so close to others. About 7 years ago, you would hear a bunch of children playing around in the apartment's parking lot, which happened to be right next to my house. The kids would play day and night, neighbors would complain over the noise, but our parents would say kids are kids, and there is no controlling their drive to play around with their friends. As that was 7+ years ago, these children no longer are heard playing around anymore. Some have moved away, others grew up, others... On the curbside of Southgate Avenue, trash is occasionally left from those too lazy to reach their closest trash can. Every Thursday, the street sweeper and the waste management came along to our side of the street. They tried their best to keep the street clean, but it would not be long until the next person left their bag of McDonald's full of empty wrappers and used napkins. The city of Southgate is a sub-city in the Los Angeles County. Many people who pass by it on the main street of Firestone Boulevard don't even know they're passing the city, especially since there is almost no interest in the city for outside visitors. Over 100,000 people live in the city of Southgate, with the majority percentage being of the Hispanic or Latino descent. To say that my hometown is heavily trafficked is an understatement. Thousands of cars are always going down the Firestone, so there is almost always traffic down this street. Most of the traffic comes from the 710 freeways that happens to pass by my city. Since this freeway tends to always be busy due to the fact that it connects to 4 other major freeways in the Los Angeles County, people want to take shortcuts to take less traffic as possible, so they take the streets of Southgate to get through their daily lives. In the city of Southgate, you do not find many corporate businesses besides the Walmart and Target in the city. The city consists of mostly small businesses whose owners almost always happen to live here as well. What I have always complained about is the amount of car sale lots are in the city. There seems to be at least 4 car sales lots in every block. In the recent years, many car sales lots have been closing down due to the lack of people wanting to buy cars off shady car salesmen and the higher than normal taxes applied from the city. These lots are being repurposed for shopping centers and plazas for the community. For a neighborhood where houses are a few feet away from each other, we do not really communicate with one another. The neighbors to the right have always been living there as long as I can remember, yet I don't even know their first name. That goes for the other neighbors. I greet them once in a while, but we don't really spark conversations as we are living our busy lives. The only people I talk to, or anyone in my family talks to, is my uncle and his family that live on the other side of the apartments next to us. They come over once in a while, whether it's for a family barbecue, birthdays, or holidays. The whole neighborhood seems to understand that they are busy, so we don't waste time trying to make small talk. None of us really have problems with each other until it comes to finding parking spaces. I never really understood why parking was such an issue when almost every house in the neighborhood had a driveway for at least 3 cars. After a while, I started to understand that many houses have 4 or more people living in there, and they all had their own cars to go to school, work, etc. This meant that their driveways would get full of various trucks and brand new Hondas. That eventually overflowed into the streets. I'm lucky to find any parking when I get home from school around 6 p.m. since almost everyone is home by then. So I struggle in either trying to fit inside our driveway or parking at the end of the street. Living here has not been the worst, as I tend to look for the good in anything, or else I'll just be miserable. Despite the noise level always being high in my household and not having the greatest neighbors, I enjoy living here. I appreciate that I have a roof over my head and my parents are trying their best to give me the greatest life possible. Despite it all, I'd rather live in Southgate Avenue than any other gang-filled street in South LA, 5 minutes away from here.